Hey guys, so some of us have been thrown a loop, and this is some of our first experiences in Blackboard. There's some things that we put in Blackboard, some things we haven't. And I know I've already gotten a couple questions here and there on how to get some things in there. So what I wanted to do is just kind of go ahead and put out some video series on how to build things into Blackboard, the basics, the core. This is not going to be something that's pretty and fancy. Right now, we're just trying to make it till May. Okay, so we're just trying to get that material in for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks, give or take. So with that being said, what I'm going to try and do is show you the things that I would add in per day. Hopefully that will get us by the end of the first week, about mid-second week, everything will be in there and we can kind of just run the course and teach it the best that we can to get through the semester. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start with how I would go ahead and log into Blackboard. If you don't have this information, you need to email the help desk. But basically, when I go into it, I just go straight to athens.blackboard.com. And as I'm trying to type this in, realize that I will probably talk a little fast and I'll type a little fast. You can always pause the video, move it back and forward, or whatever you need to do just to kind of see the clicking and the mechanics that I go through with it. So at that point, let's go ahead and log in. And when you pull up, your classes should be listed in the middle here. I'm going to go ahead and jump into this shell that is blank. So if you haven't added anything into your courses throughout the semester because they were straight face-to-face, this is probably something that you'll end up looking like with this menu over on the side. Now, if you sat in on the webinars or you got the stuff from the provost, there's 6 main elements that we need to get into the class. One is going to be announcements or some kind of communication. Announcements is one of the easier tools to use it. So I'd go ahead and use that heavy on the communication piece with your students back and forth. When you post an announcement in Blackboard, it automatically also sends your students an email. So be aware that they'll get it in both forms if you end up doing that. You also want your syllabus in there if you haven't put it in there. If you have a schedule that is separate from the syllabus, make sure you put both documents in. If they're combined and the schedule is in the syllabus, that's fine. Just put a note in there, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then you're going to want module information. The way to think about modules will be basically what do you want the students to get through a week, and then your tests and assignments, and I'd add those kind of towards the back end. Right now, we just want to get them started, get some information in there. So with that being said, one thing that you really need to understand going into this is everybody's going to need a sense of flexibility as we're going. I'd let the students know that they need to give you a little bit of flexibility as you're trying to manipulate and get all the stuff online. You're going to have to take a little bit of time to do that, and they need to understand that some of the stuff will be coming, but you'll keep in constant communication with them, letting them know when things appear. On the other hand, too, we got to understand that the students are going to need a little flexibility here and there, and we can always have that debate on whether or not due dates need to be strict or not, but realize that their life situations have just been disrupted as well. They may have kids at home now that they're trying to work around everything with. They may be having job problems too if they're in some of those industries that are kind of being shut down. So we can try to set those kind of expectations up front, but we need to have a little bit of flexibility going just to get through this semester with them as well. So just keep that in mind too as we're kind of building and moving forward with this. All right. So what I would do on my basic navigation to start is I'd go ahead and knock out this home page. It kind of confuses a lot of students, and there's not a lot of stuff you'll end up building in here. So I'd go ahead and click the drop down on this. If you're not seeing a drop down, make sure your edit mode is on. If you click and toggle it, now notice I don't have the little drop downs. If I click back on it over here, it pops up. I'm going to go ahead and just hit this. I'm going to hit delete. Yes, delete the menu item, delete it, and get rid of that one. Okay. And then that'll leave an announcements, which we need an announcement. So we're going to leave that in there. Under information to kind of fit what the provost had sent out from the Atlas people, we're going to go ahead and rename this link. And I'm going to name this syllabus and schedule and hit enter. And then notice it's got this gray box. That means there's no content in there and it's not shown right now. All right. So we're going to end up needing to fix that. Right here, I'm going to rename this link, and I'm going to rename this one modules. And again, I'll probably have about 5 modules because there's about 5 weeks left. Think of it as a what do they need to get during the week. All right, here I'm going to go ahead and delete out discussions. I can add that back later if I want, but right now I'm just going to get the basics in there. I'm going to go ahead and delete out this as well because we're not going to do groups right now. I'll leave tools in there. I'm going to delete out the Blackboard help as well. And now I'm going to go up here, and if you hit this little plus up in the top, I'm going to add a content area. And the one I'm going to add is tests. And if you want quizzes or something like that, that's fine. I'm going to leave this not available to users yet because I'm not going to build anything in there. And I'm going to also add one that is assignments in case I have any papers or anything I actually want them to turn in. And then the last one I'm going to do, just because it's a little bit easier for the students to get there, I'm going to build a web link here, and I'm going to call this one Athens Help Desk. And I'm just going to put in the URL to the Athens State Help Desk because I'm sure some of them will also have some technical problems. And if we go ahead and get them directly there, they'll be able to get those a little bit solved a little faster. And I'm going to go ahead and mark this one as available to users because I want them to be able to get in there immediately if they need to. All right, I'm going to click over here on the left-hand side when I get the little crosshairs, and that allows me to kind of drag and drop these. I'm going to dump these up above the bar, and I'll move the help desk one right there. And so that's going to be my basic navigation that I just mess with through the rest of this semester, okay? To start out, these are going to be blank. If you end up wanting to see what the class is looking like to the students, you can click this little eyeball with the arrows around it, and that will put you into student view. And so right now you can see they're not seeing a lot of stuff over here on the side. They're not really seeing anything going on, which is okay because I'm going to fix that here in a second. So I'm going to exit my preview. I'm going to leave this top bullet done, and I'm going to hit continue, and that kind of pops this back up here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in an announcement real quick. I'm going to say something like course update, and I'll put the date in here so they know what's going on. And the things I want to get across on this first one, again, I want to set the expectation that they know I'm working on the course. It will get up quickly. I will keep in contact with them. So I'm going to put in something here about, let's see, this is currently under construction as we move towards an online format for the rest of the semester. I will have some information up shortly as to what to do for this week and the weeks going forward. Please check the site frequently. Okay, and that'll kind of give me a little bit of an hour or two gap that I can get some material up if I haven't been able to get it up yet. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that they're communicating with me. So I'm going to put a quick note in here. If you have any questions during this transition period or over the rest of the semester, please email me immediately, and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of set up a time standard so they have the expectation of how much time they're going to have to complete assignments. So basically, what you're going to do is set up a structure of due dates over the next weeks. I would recommend definitely setting up one due date per week. I would not try to set up 3 different due dates in the middle of the week. It's going to confuse the students. Again, their schedules are really hectic right now and everything too, so they're going to end up probably panicking if that happens. I would go ahead and set it up where like everything's due on Friday of that week or everything's due on Sunday of that week or whatever day you want to set, but I'd set that as a standard going forward. So for me, I usually do Sunday night everything is due, and then Monday when I wake up I can kind of start grading. So I'd go ahead and put a note in here about that too of going forward, the work week will be a Monday through Sunday. I will try to have all materials ready by Tuesday or Wednesday of a given week, with any assignments and activities being due Sunday at midnight. If you have any questions about material during the week, please try to review any items and email me questions by, let's say, Friday night so that I have time to respond to them by the Sunday deadline. And now for me, again, knowing what's going on in the world, that Sunday deadline will be flexible. I don't really want the students to know that's going to be flexible, but I'll work with them if they've been in contact with me on stuff, just because, again, I know life is going to be hectic right now. But again, setting that due date in there at least kind of gives them a mindset of keeping up with the work and not procrastinating, and having that last week of the semester just be total chaos on them with too much stuff due. So it's a flexible deadline, but I'm at least going to let them know there is a deadline in there. Lastly, I would go ahead and do some kind of um, like encouraging note to them, letting them know we're going to make it through the semester together. Don't worry. So I want to say something like, remember that my goal is to help everyone make it through the next few weeks as smoothly as possible. Here to help in any way I can. So please feel free to reach out to me and we'll make it through the chaos of this semester together. All right, so just write something in there that kind of says your personality and kind of how everything's going to go, but let the students know that you're there for them. Again, they're probably panicking as much right now as we are with everything that's going on, so just that encouraging note will mean a lot to them on that. Don't worry about any kind of date restrictions or anything on that right now. Again, if you want to send this out immediately, you can. Otherwise, it will email them at the end of the day that the announcement's been posted anyways. And again, I'm going to go ahead and hit submit, and that posts my announcement in there. And again, it sets that proactive communication to my students, so everybody's kind of ready to go. They know things are going to be built in here, and everything's going to start running hopefully smoothly shortly. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out this video since we've got our basic nav and our communication going. And in the next video, I'm going to show you what else I would do on day one, basically with building out the syllabus and starting to get my first week's module material in there. So I'll do that here in a second, but that should be enough for right now. So let me go ahead and end this, and I'll get the next video going.